Hi and welcome to the Book Lab. I'm Björn, and it's that time of month when we go through the upcoming releases, and we're focusing on February 2024. And I picked four exciting nonfiction books that you really should take a closer look at. So let's dive right into it. Okay, I have four books for you. We'll start with one called Why We Remember: Unlocking Memories, Power to Hold On to What Really Matters by Charan, Ranganath. And as is tradition on this show, I butcher names of authors. Memory is far more than a record of the past. In this groundbreaking tour of the mind and brain, one of the world's top memory researchers reveals the powerful role that memory plays in nearly every aspect of our lives, from recalling faces and names to learning, decision making, trauma, and healing. When I first saw this book in the release calendar, my mind was brought to one of my favorite books that really impacted my life. It's called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. This book really impacted my life because it changed how I view sleep, how I value it, and also my routines around sleep. So when I heard about this book, Why We Remember, I thought maybe this is a similar book but on memory, and that's something that I would be excited about. Memory, Dr. Raganath, he is a professor. He shows that it is a highly transformative force that shapes how we experience the world in often invisible and sometimes destructive ways. Knowing this can help us with daily remembering tasks like finding our keys. That would be really helpful for me, who is infamous for being absent-minded. And with the challenge of memory loss as we age. What's more, when we work with our brain's ability to learn and reinterpret the past events, we can heal trauma, shed our biases, learn faster, and grow in self-awareness. So, yep, that's Why We Remember. It sounds like a book I would like to add to my reading list. Number 2 on the list is Languishing by Corey Keyes. It's released on February 21st, 304 pages. The tagline reads, "How to feel alive again in a world that wears us down." Quote, "If you're muddling through the day in a fog, often forgetting why you walked in a room, if you feel emotionally flattened, lacking the energy to socialize or feel joy in the small things, if you feel the inner void like something is missing, but you aren't sure what, then this book is for you." So what is languishing? It's the mental state of weariness that kind of erodes our sense of self-esteem, motivation, and meaning. And this is something that we often brush off as the new normal in modern society. It's not really a synonym for depression, but more of a prolonged sadness. Quote, Emory University sociologist Corey Keyes has spent his career studying the causes and cost of languishing. Now Keyes has written the first definitive book on the subject, examining the ripple effects of languishing on our lives before deftly diagnosing the larger forces behind its rise, the false promise of the self-help industry complex, a global moment of intense fear and loss, and a failing healthcare system focused on treating rather than preventing illnesses. So I read a lot about depression before. This sounds to have a different take on the topic, that more like the refrigerator hum of sadness that can be a part of everyday life for many people. So that made this book stand out. I never heard a book that focuses on this aspect of global unhappiness. And I think this week's recap of books will be quite focused on happiness, judging from the titles on this list. Like, if you remember last month, there was a high focus on tech. There seems to be a theme to this month as well. The third book on the list is Never Not Working by Melissa Clark. Quote, "Never Not Working is the essential guide to identifying workaholism in yourself and others and starting on the road to recovery." When I first saw the cover of this book, I thought it would be about the fact that in a post-pandemic world where we can work from home, work is very accessible now. Many people maybe have had that before, but for me as a game developer, I could not just work from home. I wouldn't have access to any meaningful work from my home computer, but now I have. And since I enjoy the project and my work so much, I find it that I work more. Sometimes when I'm gonna relax for the evenings, I actually find myself sneaking away to the computer and actually doing game work because it's fun, but it also makes my recovery time between my work and my home life much worse. I thought this was what this book would be about, but it's actually more about the influence of hustle culture. Quote, many workers believe that to compete with other top talent, they must embrace a culture that rewards long hours and a constant connection to work. Businesses and society endorse busyness, overwork, and an extreme commitment as the most valuable traits in workers. It sounds like Clark in this book want to show how we can escape the trap of just working too much and putting work in the center of our lives, and how it compromises our own well-being but also the company's bottom line. I have another book on the list, but first I want to say that if you enjoy the content, if you enjoy these updates, and if you would like to get like book reviews every week, then subscribe and like the channel. That makes sure that when I put up a new video, it will show up in your YouTube feed, right? And if you want to really support the book lab, then give a super thanks here on YouTube, or donate on PayPal, or join my Patreon. That will help me build this channel. It's of course optional, but it's super helpful because I need some funds to keep the show rolling, right? So the fourth book, Practical Optimism, the art, science, and practice of exceptional well-being. This book comes out on February 24th, and the author is Sue Varma. Dr. Sue Varma worked as a medical director and attending psychiatrist, working directly with civilians and first responders, survivors in the aftermath of 9/11. And in this intense situation, she met people on all points of the stress and trauma continuum. Quote, she saw devastation and stagnancy as much as she saw amazing resilience and growth. She asked herself, how do some people survive, even thrive, despite profound challenges? And how can we optimize the things that we have control over while buffering ourselves against stress? Through her work with patients and combining philosophy, her own experience, and a review of the latest research in the psychology, psychiatry, medicine, and neuroscience, Dr. Varma discovered that the answer lies in cultivating an optimistic mindset that is tethered to the real world, and it helps us make sound and reasonable decisions. So, this sounds like a book that you could really get sucked into and learn a thing or two. So that's basically the list for this year. But I'll do a bonus here because I found this quite funny as I went through the release schedules. We also have two different Lincoln biographies coming out this month. One that looks about Lincoln's view on immigration, and another one over here that looks at Lincoln's view on democracy. So you Lincoln fans, you are in luck. You have a great month ahead of you. And I love to read a great biography every now and then, so I'd love to highlight it here on the channel. And as usual, as is the routine, as is the tradition on the channel, I will pick one of these books as the most exciting book for this month. And of course, I will pick Why We Remember. This book just sounds like the most valuable book to read, the most well-researched, very focused topic. It's also a topic I haven't read too much about, so I would pick that one this month. Let me know in the comments which one of these books you would like to read, and also if you have any tips for upcoming books for the coming months, so I can make sure that I cover them here on the channel. Have a good week. Enjoy your reading, and I'll be back next week with more book reviews and all of that regular stuff. Until then, Björn out. Cheers.